All right, welcome back. It's Ben Humble, and I'm super excited to have a friend of mine, just an awesome dude. Mike Nicolika here is with us from Windsor, Ontario, a town where I spent 30 years. Mike, welcome. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, you're welcome. Hey, I know we have a little bit of history. We both grew up in Windsor, and you saw me buying a lot of deals 10, 15 years ago, and we've always kept in contact. And you really have made some stride in the last couple months to launch your own real estate business, and you've already done deals and you're growing. And would love to just kick this off and have you introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? Perhaps what has been your career up until this point? And what made you want to get into the real estate space?
Born in Ontario, but raised in Windsor. I got started in real estate. I think I read a book, like it might have been Robert Allen or something way back in the day, and like the Kiyosaki Rich Dad Poor Dad, and realized I think early or mid to late teenage years actually that real estate was a great vehicle for creating wealth, and actually bought my first property with a buddy of mine, and it was a duplex and house hacked it. And fortunately or unfortunately, I had to leave the city. I got hired by the Toronto Police, and I worked there for a number of years. I kind of bounced around a little bit in the city, kind of fixing and renovating properties. So living in them and adding value, and then kind of upgrading and moving on. And then later joined the OPP, sent me up north, did the same thing, bought some properties, and then ultimately came back to Windsor in around 2015. And the market was just, I mean, post 2008 crash, it was still in a little bit of the lull phase, I would say, in the recovery phase. So it started to really take off then. And I bought and renovated a bunch, did some Airbnb, short-term rentals, that sort of thing, and then ultimately exited the market at the perfect time in 2022. And so just kind of getting right back into it and continuing on in the surrounding area with more flips and buy and holds
So you've been a
currently. So,
beneficiary of the market rising, like many of us. We
mhm.
started buying real estate, the tide went up, and all the little real estate boats that we had increased in value. And you had exited in 22 before the market dropped about 20%.
Mhm.
So how did that experience shape the decision now to really get fully immersed into real estate? Was there some a pattern that you can share, or was there some type of catalyst that said, "Okay, I'm going all in"?
Yeah, I mean, I've always just been passionate about it, and I've continued to buy and flip properties kind of throughout the last few years, despite the market kind of taking a little bit of a downturn, but just strategically buying undervalued properties, oftentimes in rough conditions, but in good neighborhoods, and added value to them, and yeah, just always profited on it. Um, and I think it's just a lot of it came down to learning through kind of the hard knocks, but also with like mentors like yourself, getting some guidance and learning kind of a little bit of the shortcuts to kind of do things a little bit more efficiently. One of the things I read, the real estate market cycle book. I can't remember if it's Don R. Campbell that wrote it, but great book about just kind of understanding the cycle and kind of strategizing based on that. So sometimes it's a better time to buy, sometimes it's a better time to hold, and just weather the storm, right? And I think right now it's just like the perfect storm with interest rates going down, inflationary pressures, these threats of tariffs coming, and all of that. In addition to what's going on in Windsor, I mean, I'm sure you're still keeping an eye on it, but we've got a lot of infrastructure projects, the Gordie Howe Bridge, we've got Amazon coming here, we've got the battery plant. So there's a lot of good things for the area, and I see a lot of potential still in the city and surrounding areas. Actually, like I'm looking at Chatham, Essex, Amherstburg as well. So.
I still think Windsor in southwestern Ontario, I'm sure you agree with me, is still one of the best places to start a real estate investing business. A lot of people have done well investing there. The market has tripled in some places of the city, especially Windsor, Ontario, in the last number of years. It really was a tremendous lift. As a business owner, it was incredible to be able to buy property after property, and that turned to dozens, and dozens turned to hundreds of properties in the Windsor Essex area, and it was just a really incredible experience in the last 15 years. What have you seen? So you started this a number of years ago. You've bought some property. Now you're doubling down, saying, I've seen some market pullback. I see the opportunity. What has maybe changed, or something that you've seen in maybe the last few months that's given you greater conviction to move this forward into a real business versus maybe buying a few properties here and there?
For me, I just still see the potential. I think that comes part and parcel with like learning from you. For me, it's success leaves clues. Why kind of fumble through it? Just, get somebody to kind of that's already done it and follow their steps. And like it really opened up my mind with the revival. I'm so glad I spent the weekend and the minuscule cost. I mean, like the first day I was like, okay, this is already worth 10 grand, you know. So again, to save some of the mistakes and that, it was great to partake in that. But yeah, in terms of building the business, I want something that's actually not just me swinging hammers anymore. And we've discussed this at length previously. I want to be able to scale and actually have a real business that's not me centric. I want to work on the business. So that's why I went into the mentorship.
Yeah. So bringing up the revival, I've noticed that in Canada, there's independent small business operators in this field of real estate investing who are grinding at it. There's other people who are struggling or trying to get in, and there's not a lot of accessible online education in this space. It seems to be kind of a foreign topic. Whereas in the US, there's a lot of information, coaches, education, especially in the online sector. So we decided that after some hiatus to come back and throw this revival. The market dropped, perfect conditions to get in the real estate game and encourage people by showing them exactly how to get started, how to build a portfolio, how to build a real genuine business. What was the experience for you just coming to the revival, seeing hundreds of people? What did you feel just being a part of that experience and seeing all the speakers and all the energy in the room?
That was great. It was awesome. Like listening to some people like, well, yourself included, but like Jazz Takar, that guy is just an inspiration and just gets you pumped up and starting to think about like all of the unlimited possibilities that are out there. Like I've already experienced some success, enough to give my conviction that, this could be something that's going to retire me from my full-time job, right? So, but being around like-minded people, that community aspect is really important because there are tough times, right, where you're struggling, especially when you're alone. And, everyone's the naysayer. Oh, I heard about this guy, my uncle's friend, he had real estate and he had to fix toilets and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You want to be with people that are going to build your belief. And like I said, more importantly, you're going to be with somebody that's already done what you want to accomplish. So I'm a big fan of that and surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
When I first got started, it was years ago, and I remember in Windsor, Ontario, my first property was on Lincoln Road, and I had gone to a conference, a 2-day conference, and they talked about investing in real estate. Back then, I had a small business doing janitorial, you know this, and the janitorial business was a grind. It was a lot of work. I was always working evenings and nights, and not really making that much money doing the janitorial business. It was a grind, really. And they said, yeah, you got to own real estate. That'll help you. So when I finally started to clue into the power of compounding growth and cash flow and buying properties, I got pretty excited. But those first couple of properties, probably the most nerve-wracking. Trying to
Hmm.
understand the game, the business, nerve-wracking. What advice for people that are just getting started, they're brand new, they're thinking about coming to the revival and seeing the speakers and all that. But what advice would you give as somebody who's gone through that new journey of buying your first couple of properties? How would you advise people and maybe encourage people about taking first steps?
100% come to the revival. I mean, if you're kind of unsure, that's going to cement it for you, I think. Um, get a mentor or coach because the expensive mistakes that you're going to make are going to be way more expensive than the cost of somebody that you're going to get knowledge from. Um, as well, don't get overly analytical. I think you can get analysis paralysis very easily in this game.
Mhm.
You have to know some things for sure. You need to know your numbers, but I think taking action and taking forward momentum every day is really important in this game because if you don't, you could just go, it's too much, and then you really achieve nothing.
Yeah, so you and I are going through a similar journey where at the beginning I just kind of grinded by myself and try to figure it out. Eventually I asked for help, And that came a whole new level of thinking, challenging my belief system. Is there a belief for you in the last few months of mentorship that's really started to shift or change, where you're maybe seeing this through a different lens or a different worldview?
Yeah, 100%. Like I think my confidence has gone up substantially by being part of this group. In terms of like I've seen it with other people as well, where you're really uncomfortable with XYZ, right? And then once you start doing it, for example, making the calls, right? The negotiation, whatever your not strong suit is, when you step out where you step into it, basically, that's where you experience the growth, right? And that's when you start seeing change. And then that develops the confidence. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get a skill. And you've got the skill that no one can ever take away from you. And that's what I love about this as well. It's just constant growth and learning. Um, and if that's what you are looking for, then I think this is a great business for you. If you don't want to step out of your comfort zone, I think it could be a challenge, especially without somebody kind of guiding the way.
Yeah. Are you creating and seeing new vision for your life? Like, is your future look different having gone
Oh,
or going through this experience? Give us a picture of your future as you see yourself down the road from this experience.
yeah, so a lot has changed in the last year for me. Some of the backstory on that. But I think especially with setting goals, like where I want this business to be and the purpose-driven kind of mission behind it, which is, I want to help, build homes in Africa. I want to help build homes with Habitat. I want to also create profit for myself and my friends and my family, right? I want to better the community and provide, nice houses. In policing, it's a great career and you're helping a lot of people, but oftentimes you don't see that reward, right? It's not a visual, kind of tangible thing. Whereas when I get an ugly house that's just absolutely a mess and I put the time and effort into it and I turn it into a beautiful home for somebody, you see that tangible result. I love that. And then I also love the profit side. Of course, you're not in business just for the joy of it necessarily. There's an aspect of that, but yeah, with regards to the overall picture, I'd like to just ultimately set myself free from like a location specifically and travel the world and do what I want to do on my own terms, which is unbelievable. The sense of freedom behind that is great.
Yeah, they say one definition for freedom is being able to do what you want, when you want, with whoever you want, regardless of the cost. And I think that's a pretty cool definition of what we can achieve. Now that you've seen some of these limiting beliefs start fading and you're making progress and you're making offers and you're buying property, uh, are you seeing other people really stuck or mentally stuck in certain thinking or ideology, maybe that doesn't serve them, that perhaps you used to see, or maybe friends and families of yours had or still have this belief system that you would challenge people to maybe think differently and push themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of my friends, actually, a good friend of mine that was a partner, a private lender, I should say. He was just like, "Are you sure you really want to do this? Like, are you growing too fast? Like, doesn't that make you nervous?" And I just started thinking like, well, I could see why it would make you nervous because you don't have kind of that experience yet, right? You haven't done what I've done. And I mean, I think it's important to not focus on what other people are telling you, and even if it's good intentions, it's it's not their path and it's not their experience, right? So it's easy to get kind of pulled back into a different, like your old mindset, perhaps, or their mindset. And again, that's why I like the idea of surrounding yourself with people that have already achieved what you want to achieve, right? Um, so yeah, I definitely see that. And it is a struggle, I think, to break old habits and to engage in new habits that are heading in your path in your direction, right?
Hmm. And you're doing a good job with networking recently, and you're going to different events, and you're belonging to the community. How important is it for you now, now that you see there are other communities of positive, aspiring investors trying to break the mold, trying to break generational financial problems, and trying to really create freedom for them and their legacy? How are you seeing the access to our community and other communities influencing perhaps your life, your thinking, your behavior?
It's nothing short of life changing. Like I think it's incredible that it's liberating to know that with not just the knowledge but the hard work, right? That you can absolutely change your life. And I mean, we talked about this I think last week, where it's like one deal that I may wholesale could be a 10 to $20,000 win, right? And that's a life-changing, I think for most people that would be listening, that would be life-changing kind of money to come in for them. And that's just one avenue, right? One kind of path in this business, right? So opening up my mind to that has been unbelievable. And I've got now people coming at me with different kind of opportunities all over the place. In the United States and multiple cities across Canada, private lenders, people reaching out to me, like when I post my wins on social media, people reaching out to me and going, "Wow, that's amazing. This is beautiful. I've got some money to invest. Can I partner with you?" Like, and it's that law of attraction, I think, that comes with success, which is, I don't know, it's just before I think my mindset was a scarcity mindset, not so much abundance focused. And I was more worried about like, how do I broach this? Like, how do I talk to somebody about finance? It's such a taboo subject. You just have to go out there and do the work and get the knowledge and get the wins, and then they come to you. That's
Yeah.
been my experience with it.
Yeah, no, that's powerful, and it's great to have a for-purpose business and be able to do a lot of social good and make money at the same time. And I think you're really one deal away, one property away from changing your entire trajectory of where you're going in life. Let me ask you this: how do you now see the context of business versus the context of real estate investing? Are you seeing the significance around building a business versus just thinking about properties? What's been maybe the change in perspective around investing versus small business with investing or properties as a piece of inventory?
That is a monumental shift in my approach. I realized I always wanted a business, but I looked at real estate as properties, right? I was like deals, right? Like that language or the verbiage. Now I'm looking at more of it from that lens of a business owner. And it was, I think, the E-Myth that I read a long time ago that talked about, working on your business, not in your business. Whereas, as we both struggled coming up through this, it's, you're the guy that's running to Home Depot. You're the guy that's putting out the fires. You're the guy that's also swinging the hammer, arranging the financing, finding the deals, negotiating, underwriting. Like it's so much. And now looking at it from the lens of being a business owner, it's more like systems, processes, and delegation, right? So that again, I can remove myself. I can have trusted people to kind of operate things, and it becomes a lot more of a lifestyle, purpose-driven entity as opposed to if I stop working or if I hurt myself or whatever, the money stops. And I think about that, I've got a friend that he's a chiropractor and he hurt himself and he can't work, right? High income earner, doctors, lawyers, they get injured and they're incapacitated, the cash stops, right? Whereas in a business that's structured properly, that isn't necessarily so,
I
which
think it's
is
critical more now than ever to really define and build a real business that will be able to grow your wealth in the field of real estate. And if you do the business properly and you manage people and process, well, then you can do what's called an internal exit, allow the business to keep growing well into your retirement years, which grows your wealth and your cash flow. Speak to us as we come to a conclusion here. How do you feel around this concept of preserving cash flow and liquidity in your real estate business versus constantly dumping all your money into the next deal and being cash broke but equity rich? Can you give us some perspective on how should we think about managing our cash when it comes to we want to buy more properties or be in the real estate business?
right. And I was very much of the mindset that I should be using a lot of my own funds to acquire and deposits and renovation costs and all of that. And now I'm more shifted towards, okay, I'm going to bring in partners, right? I'm going to bring in JVs. I'm going to source that cash from elsewhere, and I'm going to keep the business cash for growing the business. So that's like marketing and operations and those sorts of things, employee costs, as opposed to, this last little bit's going to go in this next house. So I'm more looking at how do I source everything from the outside to create a win-win for my investor partners, get them double-digit returns in real estate. Like that's a great conversation starter. And it's now my thing. When people ask me what I do, I get double-digit returns for my investors. So that gets people, perked up a little bit because they're like, "How do you do that?" And then there you go, right? So yeah, it's definitely. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's a shift in mindset, and I thank you for that because that's something I learned just recently and I'm implementing right now.
Proud of you. You're pushing to grow your business. You're pushing to grow your mindset. We all do this because we really want growth and freedom of all types: financial freedom, time freedom, and freedom from our limiting beliefs and the things that hold us back. Personal development and growth is very much a part of success in any way. Relational growth, growth in your faith, growth in your business, growth in your revenue, and really growth in your purpose. What are you called to do while you're on this earth? So that we don't waste our whole life worrying about money. We need to solve the money equation. We need to solve the time equation. So that what's left is purposeful work. I know as a police officer, you've done a lot of good over the years, and it's been really a pursuit of yours to be a good steward of the time you have on this earth. And as we round out, I'd like for you to maybe share, how do you see the values that you brought into policing, perhaps in your real estate, socially? How do you believe that we can all impact people better in our business, just like maybe you've impacted people in your policing work?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think, like you said, you've got limited time, and it's our duty to basically make good use of that time and to, you know, use your core values and mine are honesty and integrity and loyalty and service. And those are the things that I cherish and I want to bring into this business so that I can have a more purpose, full life in sharing opportunities with people. Like I want to travel the world and teach jujitsu, right? Like I want to travel the world and help build schools. Like I want to do things that are beyond myself. I don't care for the Ferrari or the Rolex, but the time freedom that you can achieve from that you know effort is something that's the most valuable thing. And I remember like there's a quote that just sticks in my head all the time, and I may botch it a little bit, but I think it was Jim Rohn who said, it's not about earning $1 million, it's about the person you become to make that $1 million, right? So it's the I believe the values and the hard work and the ethic and the person that you develop to be that deserves that $1 million, right? It's not about the $1 million.
Yeah. Business is a great tool to help us develop in our character. And I think we also get to create impact and income along the way. So I'm proud of you for launching the business. I'm proud of you for jumping into this both feet. Cactus Capital is your company out of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. What's the best way people can connect with you online, do business with you, get to be in your ecosystem?
Yeah, they can just reach out via the website, cactuscapital.ca. We buy houses. We're not picky.
Love the tagline. Well, everybody, that's my friend Mike. So honored to have you here. Thank you for being a part of our world. You're doing a great job. Keep moving it forward and keep impacting people for the better. Mike, thank you.
Thank
And
you.